You're not allowed to bleed. You're not allowed to age. You're not allowed to decay. So each morning, they bring it to you warm, white, human, bottles upon bottles, still steaming from the breasts of girls you've never seen. They pour it into a golden tub and call it purity. They say it will preserve your youth, soften your skin, calm your nerves. But no one ever asks what it took to fill that tub. Not the tears, not the swollen chests, not the children left hungry in villages far below your palace windows. You lower yourself into the milk of 300 women. You close your eyes, and you try not to hear the crying. You are 11 when they begin inspecting your skin, pale and blemished, soft like untouched parchment. Court matrons prod you with perfumed fingers, as if testing the ripeness of fruit. You are taught to breathe shallowly so your ribcage rises, just so, delicate, bird-like. They study your eyelashes, your ankles, your walk. They speak of your future like it is already fact. The king's chamber, a velvet bed, a crown not of gold but of milk and submission. You don't understand most of what they whisper, only that you must be ready. Ready for what? They do not say. You are not told when the decision is made, only dressed. Your gown is stiff with embroidery, your shoes too small. Your mother stands behind you, silent, her hands trembling as they pin a veil to your hair. She does not kiss your forehead, she does not cry. She only says, stand tall, and you do. Because girls who slouch do not get chosen, the palace looms like a mirage. Too large, too white, too quiet, they usher you through marble halls and into a room where nothing smells like childhood, only lavender oil, iron, and ambition. You are stripped, scrubbed, soaked, then lowered into a bath not of water, but of milk, thick, warm, and strangely sweet. You flinch. You try to speak, but a maid shushes you, presses your head back against the porcelain. Relax, she says. It's good for the skin. And so you lie still, eyes fixed on the gilded ceiling. The milk clings to you, crawls into places you wish it wouldn't. You think of cows. You think of babies. You wonder if it came from someone like your mother, someone who had no choice. And in that moment, as milk pulls at your collarbones, you begin to understand. This will not be a life. It will be a preparation. Top of form. The first rule you learn is silence. The second is stillness. On your second night in the palace, a woman in a black veil, older than your mother, quieter than your shadow, enters your chamber without knocking. She carries a ledger. She does not look at your face. She writes down your temperature, the time of your last bleeding, the texture of your stools. She notes the shape of your hips, the tone of your skin. You realize she is not a servant. She is a scribe, and you are not a girl, but a condition. They give you a schedule. Not of lessons, but of treatments. Goat's milk for the morning bath, almond oil at noon, a scalp tonic before dinner. You are told not to walk in the sun, it might darken you. You are told not to weep, it might puff your eyes. Your body becomes the subject of 1,000 tasks, every inch of you monitored, preserved, softened, drained up. By the time the king first requests your presence, you have forgotten how your own skin feels. You do not eat with your hands. You do not speak unless spoken to. You do not smile unless instructed. The mirror has become your only companion, and even she lies to you, coated in the perfume of duty. The room they lead you to smells of sugar and myrrh. The king sits behind a curtain, flanked by priests and physicians. You do not see his face. You are asked to stand in profile, then to walk. Someone lifts your sleeve to inspect your wrist. Another taps your teeth. You are no longer a girl. You are a collection of parts, the softest skin, the straightest back, the quietest breath. And when they nod, approving, it feels not like praise but purchase. You've passed the test. You will be queen. Not because you are clever, or kind, or willing, but because your flesh is the right kind of pale. Because your body does not rebel. Yet, they marry you in spring, beneath garlands of white roses that scratch your arms when you bow to low. You are 15, He is 42, a man with powdered cheeks and restless eyes who barely speaks during the vows. You try not to look at his hands, how large they are, how certain. When the priest blesses your union, you do not feel sacred. You feel sealed. That night, the milk bath is thicker than ever. They add rose water, ground pearls, and a rare herb from Africa said to preserve youth. You are told to soak for a full hour. You must be soft everywhere, the governess whispers. Especially where it matters. Your skin burns from the mixture. You do not cry. You simply stare at your own knees beneath the white, clouded surface. Later, in the bedchamber, you lie very still. He arrives perfumed and humming, drunk on wedding wine. You hear him unbuckle his boots. You hear the priest's voice again in your head, saying, "Obedience is the highest virtue in a wife." He doesn't ask you to undress. He does it himself. You close your eyes. Somewhere deep in your body, a part of you folds in on itself. In the morning, they bring more milk. This time with lavender, to soothe the body, they say. You try to ask why the sheets are stained red, but no one answers, only nods of approval. You are congratulated. Kissed on the cheek by old women in velvet. You are a wife now, a woman, a vessel. But inside, you feel like a door has been locked, and you are on the wrong side of it. The girl you were, the one who loved sunflowers and singing, has gone silent. She waits beneath the surface, watching, remembering. You rise, you bathe, you smile, and as the warm milk coats your arms again, you wonder, how many women before you did this? How many bathed in the same silence, the same sweet ride, and how many ever escaped? The first time you hear the word wet nurse, it sounds almost gentle. A whisper between two court ladies, passed like gossip across porcelain cups. You are 16 now, and pregnant. The physicians nod approvingly. Your body is doing what it must, but the swelling is too fast. The fatigue too sudden. You wake with bleeding gums. You faint during prayers. You are told this is normal. All queens suffer, says the midwife. You are not dying. You are becoming. When your son is born, they do not place him on your chest. They wrap him in silk, take him to another chamber, and return with warm compresses and a bowl of crushed herbs. You reach out, but there is nothing to hold. Later, the nursemaid explains, you must heal. Your milk is unclean from pain. They bring in another woman, broad-hipped, bare-breasted, smelling of hay. She cradles your son like he is hers. You try not to hate her, but something in you twists. The next day, another woman arrives. Then another, then 20. The corridors fill with mothers who are not mothers, peasants with milky veins and missing teeth, summoned from across the land. Some are paid in bread, some in coin. All are forbidden to speak to you, but you watch them from your window. Their hands, their eyes, their tired joy. When you return to your bath, it is different. The milk is thicker now, warmer. You ask where it came from. The chambermaid hesitates. Then says, Your Highness, it is not cow. You freeze. Your heart stammers. You look down at the bathwater, at the film of white swaying atop it like ghost skin. You ask, how many? She bows low. Over 100, Majesty, all chosen for purity. All blessed by the court physician. You sit back slowly, your skin already slick with the lives of other women. You say nothing. You only lower yourself in, because in this palace, queens do not rebel, they absorb. You begin to notice patterns. The nurses arrive in groups. They are assigned numbers, not names. They are tested for disease, lined up for inspections, and rotated through corridors like livestock. You are told this is for hygiene, for safety, for science, but none of it feels clean. It feels like something ancient pretending to be modern. Some of the women are barely older than you. Girls with calloused feet and red hands. Some weep when they see your child. Others do not look at you at all. You are both mother and monarch to them, unreachable, unknowable. You try to thank one once. She curtsied to low and was replaced the next day. You ask the court physician, why so many? He responds without blinking. Nobility must not risk contamination. A single woman may sour, but a rotation ensures purity. You wonder if they realize how strange it sounds to call one woman's body pure and another's spoiled, based only on the speed of her heartbeat or the angle of her hip bones. In your bath, the milk now smells faintly of different things. Honey one day, sweat the next, salt, iron, the memories of other wombs. The servants perfume it to hide the difference, but you can feel it in the texture. It coats you like grief. At night, you dream of dripping ceilings, of rooms flooding with milk until your mouth fills and you cannot scream. You wake choking on air. You tell no one. The king visits only to see the child. He lifts the boy and never you, and nods once. He's strong, he says, thanks to the regimen. He means the milk. He means the nurses. He means the empire. You smile the way queens are trained to smile. You don't tell him you haven't held your son in 3 days. You don't tell him the cradle smells like a stranger. You don't tell him you miss the ache in your breasts, the one thing that reminded you that he was yours. Instead, you order the bath prepared, and you step in, clean, royal, obedient. By spring, your skin no longer belongs to you. It smells of almonds and rose water, of unfamiliar mothers and boiled linen. Courtiers compliment your glow, the softness of your hands. A foreign ambassador calls you the moon of Europe. You smile, but your stomach twists. You want to ask him if the moon feels hollow, too. The ritual becomes routine. Each morning, your chambermaids pour in the offerings. Sometimes they chant prayers as they pour, as if liquid sacrifice will bring divine favor. You sit motionless, arms crossed over your chest, your body soaking in women you will never meet. One day, the milk comes late. There was a riot near the wet nurse compound. 2 women fought when one was denied payment. The guards broke it up. One woman lost teeth, another lost her child. You are told this in passing as your bath cools. You ask, did she die? The servant hesitates, then lies. No, Majesty. Only a misunderstanding, but you know. You feel it, a heaviness in the next bath, a sorrow in the scent. The milk clings to you like morning. You ask to meet the nurses. Not all, just one. A kind face, a voice, a name. The request is denied. It would blur the lines, says the governess. Royal bodies must remain sacred and touched. And yet, every day, you are touched, not by hands, but by the residue of hundreds. You begin to imagine them. A girl who hums while she nurses. A woman who hides bruises. A mother who lost her baby but leaks milk for your son. You begin to write their names in secret. Not real names, invented ones. Maria, Sabine, Agnes. You whisper them during your baths. It is the only prayer you still believe in. Because if you are a queen made of other women's milk, then perhaps they are queens, too, just never crowned. You are 20 now, still young in the eyes of the world, but ancient in the quiet places of your body. The child is nearly walking. The nurses have changed again. You no longer ask their names. You no longer indent them either. The palace has taught you that names are a luxury, and luxuries rot if held too long. You sit for a new portrait. This one will hang in the East Gallery, the wing reserved for legends. The painter asks you to hold a rose, a white one, for purity, he says. You want to ask him if ghosts are pure, too, but instead, you nod. The gown is heavy, layered in satin and lace. The sleeves pinch your arms. The crown, delicate but sharp, rests against your temple like a warning. You cannot breathe, not from fear, but from fabric. As the painter works, a governess brings the child in, dressed in matching silver. His curls are perfect, his face still yours. But when he sees you, he does not reach for you. He stands behind the chair like a courtier, bowing. You whisper his name. He blinks, confused, then bows again. The painter smiles. Beautiful. The air already knows his place. You nod. You do not cry. You have not cried since the second miscarriage. After the session, you walk to the chapel, alone. No one notices. You kneel where the light hits the floor, the same patch where queens have knelt for a century. You stare at the stained glass above. A saint with a sword, a virgin with a lily, a mother with a bleeding heart. You wonder, which one are you? Then, you feel it, a drop of milk, your own, staining your bodice. You hadn't noticed it return. You press your hand to it like a wound. And for a moment, it feels like truth. The court whispers that you've become devout, that you spend too much time in the chapel. They say it with a smirk, as if prayer is a symptom. They don't understand. You're not praying for salvation. You're praying for memory, for the names you've lost, for the women whose bodies built your image. Your attendants grow uneasy. They catch you sketching on scraps of parchment, not saints or scripture, but outlines of bare feet, worn hands, sagging breasts. You're drawing them. Not perfectly, not even well, but earnestly. As if to prove they existed. One morning, a new servant is assigned to you, a wet nurse too old to nurse. She's there for ceremony now, to warm towels and hold bottles. Her name is Elise. You learn it only because she mutters it while sleeping. Elise hums when she works. Hymns, mostly. And one day, you join her. She looks up, startled, and smiles. Not the practiced smile of a servant, but the soft, human one of someone who has seen too much to be afraid of softness. You ask her where she's from. She hesitates, then answers, "Nowhere that matters." You want to scream that it does matter. That every village, every name, every swollen breast mattered. That without them, you are nothing but an empty crown and a painted robe. But instead, you reach for her hand. She flinches. Not from fear, from training. You hold it anyway. It is the first time in 10 years that someone has touched you without duty, without performance, without expecting a queen. And in that silence, you realize, there is no sainthood in obedience. There is no holiness in erasure, and the only miracles left are the ones we dare to remember. The baths begin again, not for beauty this time, but for ritual. You are told it's tradition, that queens before you bathed in scented milk after the second child. After loss, after war, it is supposed to purify, to soften, to prepare the body for what comes next. You step into the marble basin, and the warmth rises like breath. The nurse pours in milk, bucket by bucket, not yours, not anymore. Milk gathered from women you'll never see. You ask how many. They say it varies, but when you press, someone mutters the number, 300, like it's nothing. You close your eyes and try to feel blessed, but the bath is too full, the milk too thick. It clings to your skin like a second conscience. You can smell it, human, sour, alive. The candles flicker. You hear crying, but it's not your child. Not today. You sit still, unmoving. The attendants call it grace. You know it's grief. When the bath ends, they wrap you in silk, perfume your wrists, powder your cheeks. You're expected at court, a feast in your son's name. They want you radiant, renewed, ready. You walk the hall and they cheer. They say you glow. They say motherhood becomes you. But as you pass the tapestries, those woven histories of queens and saints, you look again. You've walked this corridor 100 times, but today something shifts. You see their eyes, all of them, woven women with painted hands and perfect hair. And they all look hollow, like you. You wonder how many were bathed in milk. How many were softened until they vanished. How many remembered the names of the women who fed their legacy. Later that night, you press your forehead to the cold window and whisper to the dark, "Forgive me. I didn't know. I see you now." You don't know who you're speaking to, the women, the children, or yourself, but still, you whisper it again, and this time, you mean it. You're 30 now. No one says it aloud, but you can feel the shift. In the way they dress you, darker hues, heavier fabrics. In the way men greet you, with bowed heads but no lingering eyes. In the way your husband looks at you, not with desire, but with expectation. He wants another child, not because he loves them, but because kingdoms demand insurance. In the mirror, you search for the girl they married. She's gone. In her place stands a woman with sunken cheeks, dull skin, and eyes rimmed in gray. You touch your face, gently, then harder, as if pressing could force time to rewind. The maids whisper about your beauty. She was once the fairest, as if you're already gone. As if your body, once so publicly praised, is now just a used relic. You sit for a new portrait. The artist is young, nervous. You tell him not to flatter you. He doesn't understand. You don't want to be painted as something you're not. Not anymore. As he sketches, you speak to him. Not about politics, not about birth, but about color, about shadow and skin, about the difference between light that flatters and light that exposes. He listens, then begins again, and this time he paints what he sees. A queen, yes, but also a woman, tired, hardened, still standing. When the painting is unveiled, the court gasps. It does not hide the lines on your face. It does not pretend. Your youth remains. It shows the truth. They call it brave. They call it bold. You call it mercy. For the first time, you feel seen. And in that moment, you realize maybe power was never about beauty. Maybe survival is the truest form of rebellion. They stop asking you to sing at celebrations. The musicians look to younger voices now. Your name still holds weight, but it is the weight of legacy, not allure. At banquets, you are seated beside foreign dignitaries and whispered about as the mother of princes. You smile. You toast. But every gesture feels like performance, a rehearsed role for a woman growing invisible. One afternoon, you walk past the nursery. Your eldest son is sword training in the courtyard. Your daughters are being fitted for court dresses. You listen at the door and hear laughter, not yours, not theirs, but the governess's. Your children have favorite servants, favorite tutors, favorite nurses. You are not one of them. You gave them life, but not yourself. And now they belong more to the palace than to you. Your husband no longer comes at night. He sends messages instead, polite, formal, strategic. A duke has died. A treaty is needed. A cousin must be wed. He trusts your mind, but not your body. And in a strange way, it is a relief. Your body, the site of so much pain, so much pressure, is finally yours. Empty, yes, but yours. You begin to walk the garden alone. Not the manicured court paths, but the hidden hedges, the broken statues overrun with ivy. You sit beside a crumbling fountain and listen to water that no longer flows. Here, no one watches, no one expects, and for a few minutes each day, you are not a queen, not a wife, not a mother, just a woman, breathing. One morning, you find a wounded dove beneath the hedge. Its wing is broken. You cradle it in your palms. For the first time in years, something needs you not for duty, but for care. You bandage it, feed it, watch it heal. And weeks later, when it flies, you do not cry, but your hands ache with the memory of letting go. Winter arrives without ceremony, no carols, no snow in the courtyard. Only silence, the kind that gathers behind closed doors and settles like dust in the corners of tapestries. You sit by the fire with your hands folded, watching the embers crumble into ash. The heat barely reaches your bones anymore. They come to you with letters. Your youngest son has fallen ill while traveling. Another courtier has been caught stealing grain. A rebellion is rumored in the northern provinces. You answer each one carefully, as always, but your thoughts drift to the old milk baths, now only a memory, to the wet nurses, the maids, the bruised women who once orbited your life like forgotten moons. You wonder where they are now. You wonder if any of them remember you as more than a title, or if you were just another hand reaching out, asking for more. One evening, you return to the portrait room. The painting still hangs, untouched, but beside it now is a commission from your daughter's wedding. She stands in a field of violets, eyes bright, smile soft, veil flowing like morning fog. You touch the edge of her gown with your fingertips. And suddenly you see it. The cycle beginning again. A girl. A bride. A vessel. You do not warn her. You do not cry out. You only stand there, one queen looking at the next, because you know, the warnings never work. The silence is the only heirloom that survives. In the mirror that night, you no longer search for beauty, you search for truth. And you find it in the stillness of your face, in the quiet grace of survival. Not radiant, not glorious, but present. And, for a woman who was never meant to last, that is its own kind of victory. You are no longer needed. Not for birthing, not for beauty, not even for diplomacy. You drift through the palace like a memory that refuses to fade, dressed in silence, embroidered in routine. The mirrors have stopped lying. They show you what the world refuses to say. You were never meant to be remembered. Only used. But still, you wake before the servants. You light your own candle. You press your fingers against the cold window pane and watch the dawn bleed over stone. Somewhere, another young girl is being brought into this world. Somewhere, the cycle sharpens its teeth. And yet, you have learned a kind of magic. Not the kind sung in ballads or crowned in legend. A quieter magic, the ability to endure without being seen, to carve identity inside invisibility, to mother without touch, to mourn without weeping, to age without apology. In your final days, the palace paints a new portrait of you. You sit taller this time. Your hair is gray. Your hands, once soft and milk-slick, now rest calmly in your lap. They ask you to smile. You don't, because you finally understand. Power was never the throne. It was never the bath. It was never the crown. Power was surviving long enough to see the lie for what it was and still stay whole. And when they unveil your portrait to the court, no one notices the shadow in your eyes, but you do, because it's not sorrow. It's defiance. If this story moved you, if you've ever felt unseen, unheard, or expected to be something you're not, share your thoughts in the comments. What does it mean to survive without being celebrated? Subscribe for more Untold royal stories, because history remembers the crown, but we remember the woman beneath it.